Hey there, YouTube. It's Petey. Today I finished this. This is the last amp. So this is it's got a speaker jack and a power jack on the back, and there's an input there's a aux jack input here, and then there's a 1/4 inch input on the front. So you can switch for that here, which input you want to use. There's a power meter here. There's two rails in this. There's a 9 volt and then there's a 24 volt. So you got, here's your input if you're going to go 1/4 inch, or you can throw this toggle over here and use the aux. There's master volume is here. And then here's your gain knob. There's bass, middle, and treble EQ knobs. And then this is a bright switch, which really, it's almost like a built-in tube screamer. It gets louder and it's really significantly brighter. And the EQ works a little differently. Now, if you want to check your power, you can hit this button and it'll alternate because there's two rails. So this is a white display and it runs 0 to 100 volts DC. So this will tell you like, oh, it's 24.6 volts. And then what's your 9 volt rail? Oh, it's 8.98 volts DC. So you can check your battery pack. The main power LED is this green 22 millimeter. There is a built-in battery pack of lithium-ion 18650 cells on the speaker cabinet. Now I can put those internally. I could mount them on the back. I could make a magnetic. I was going to do a magnetic lid where you'd pop a panel off with magnets and then the batteries would be in there. Right now I got the batteries living on the back of the 12-inch speaker cabinet. So this is a clean powered speaker amp. It runs in conjunction with the new XMG30 amp modeler and the cab sim. And in order to compensate for that, the fact that that's a digital device, where did my pedal boards go?
This one that you had up here earlier?
Yeah, in order to, just like goose it, I've got this germanium Rangemaster treble booster, and it gives it this really sweet but minor distortion. It's really clean. I'm really playing clean. And when I dig in, it'll be a little bit more gritty. It's edge of breakup tones with this. And then the thing about this is it really scoops out your lows, your bass, and your mid-range. This pedal brings it back. So this is a EP boost, it's called. Echoplex boost. It's mimicking a tube circuit. And there's these bat, which is extra bass, and then bright switches for EQ. Now those are expanded. The stock EP boost, those switches don't do that much. This, they do. So people go, oh, the EP boost doesn't really boost bass. Well, mine does because I made it to run in tandem with this. And then this charcoal pedal, this is a really cool finish. It's tactile. It's like got some grit to it. And this is a Greer amplification light speed overdrive. So this is a really just a phenomenal. This is my favorite overdrive pedal. It's not like a Klon. It's not like anything I've ever played through, and it's really mellow. When you crank it up, it's only a little bit of overdrive. It's not a real lot, and I like it that way. I don't want to have a Dirty Deeds done dirt cheap. This is not Metallica. What I'm doing, it's clean, you know. So yes, I realize people frown on modeling. I should say, like, I've got a JTM 45 that I'm looking at here. I've got all kinds of tube gear, tube amplifiers, solid state amplifiers, Class D amplifiers is what I've been building since 2010. And I've built many of these. I've built a lot of these, okay? And my favorite build is the tpa3116D2 mono amp board, which is that's what's in here, the power amp, with the runoff groove tone mender front end, which is a clean gainy EQ, gives you a significant gain boost, bass mid-range treble with a bright switch. Now, if you look on this channel, if you type in remote jam, you'll see where my wife and I have this duo, and we use this battery powered gear. We go out to remote locations. We have a 300 watt or 600 watt PA that we built. We have two 10-inch PA speakers. So my guitar signal, it goes into the modeler and then it goes through the effects loop with these, and then stereo out to the mixing board. Stereo out to these two PA speakers, and there's a big sub, 210 sub, real bassy for the bass and the kick drum. So we have an MP3 player built into the powered mixer with a foot switch that starts and stops the drum tracks, and I program the drum tracks with Addictive Drums version 2 software. It's really good sounding drums. They sound real. So we got realistic sounding drums. My wife is playing bass. We got a 210 sub. It's 300 watts just for the sub alone. So it's way more power than we need. And then for the guitar, I like having a 12 sitting up kind of by me with whatever amp. So I can crank up the guitar and have it pointing like my own personal monitor. And that's the idea. So this isn't amp in the room. It isn't tube amp, although the amp models that I'm using, they're all tube amps. Like I really like the Vox amps, but I use modified Vox amps as well. And then I use some Fender and some JC120. And I use Marshall stuff too. I use all different things. And I use some high gain stuff. The set list has like, it's probably 15 songs, probably 5 of them have distortion, and 3 of those distortion are like modern high gain distortion. And I'm getting just a ripping, like a really amazingly great modern high gain guitar tone. Like it really sounds cool. So on the latest firmware update, there's this thing where you can turn the reverb block into a second delay. And they have a delay on it called a duo time. Now the duo time is 2 ping pong stereo delays with a reverb. So I use that duo time a lot. And then with the firmware update, you can get another delay, the panning delay. And of course, I beat match everything, so it's all tap tempo. It's all the echoes are happening in time with the music, and then they're panning, and you've got 2 delays. Well, it's actually the duo time is 2 ping pong delay with a stereo reverb, and then you have that panning delay. So I tend to layer those effects, so when the song starts, it's not so much effecty. And then you can turn that stuff on at different points and then deactivate it at other points. So you don't clutter it up too much. But I've been using that a little bit more recently. We're going to take a look at some pictures that I took for this project. So here is the EQ. It's a runoff groove tone mender. We tried a 5532 and it was giving me a oscillation on the treble knob. When I turned the treble all the way up, it was whistling. So we put a regular TLO72 and it stopped that. And it wasn't that the NE5532 was a fake, because these, I tested them in between pins 2 and 3 to see if there's a diode, and there was. These were authentic. So this is kind of tricky, building one of these on Vero and getting it to a gigging Like if you're going to gig with this, I really make sure that everything has been really soldered well. And like things like using thicker gauge wire. So here is the Class D. It's rated at 100 watt amp board. You can see there's these two inputs. I put it like hot glue to make this a little more sturdy in here, where these skinny wires solder onto the 3.5 mil. And this is all coaxial wiring to make sure that there's no RFI. Like it keeps it quieter. It's not like a lot of hum. So this picture was taken early, and later on I regrouped all these wires and wire tied them off to make it look a lot neater. But yeah, here is a ground block. So the ground comes in, and then whenever I need a ground, I just tie in here. You can see I use real thicker wires for stuff like the speaker and the 24 volt line. 24 volts comes up and then goes over to fuse, splits off. We got one 24 volt line here, another one coming up to this, which it's a step down to 9. So I'm throwing 9 volts over here to this selector switch, which goes up to the readout, the display. But the ground runs through this momentary toggle. So you can tell how much you're getting, how much battery you have. And you can also check in on your 9 volt system here. Now, I did build another one of these amps where I run both the preamp and the power amp off the same 24 volt rail, and it does work, but it changes the performance of the preamp, and I think I like the way it performs with the 9 volts better than the 24. I'm going to have to do some more looking into that, but that's what I'm going to say for now in this video. So, like I countersunk and ran plates in here, so this is countersunk. This is a sign that I chopped up. The wood, I had to do this ripping this wood. It's cold out, so yeah, I did some of it in the house. But the woodwork came out pretty good, and I ended up finding the first blade that I used to cut the sheet metal. This is an aluminum sign that the snowplow guy kept knocking over until it broke off, and I did the landlord a favor and got rid of it. So I chopped this out. This is actually aluminum sign, which is the front panel. Something I had always wanted to do is use a piece of a road sign to make an amplifier. I finally did that today. So I was using a 60 watt iron, which is a legitimate, it's not a Timu 60, it's a legitimate 60. We fried out one of these no-name potentiometers from overheating it. The layout, the runoff groove layout, what they do, a lot of times their 1 and 3 is the flip-flop from mine. So I finished this, and I can't tell you how many times I built this, and I don't remember. I should remember this, that you got to invert. When they say 3, it means 1. When they say 1, it means 3. Otherwise, when you finish, all of your controls will be backwards. If you go to crank up the volume, you'll be turning it down. So I finished all the wiring, and I had to tear it all apart and start over. Master power LED, master volume, fuse. This is the bright switch, treble, mid-range, bass, gain. This is the toggle switch to turn on your voltmeter. This is the voltmeter selector. So right now it's in the 9 volt position. If you flip it over here, it'll show you 24. This is your 1/4 inch input, and this activated here. If you flip it out, on the left side, then you'll be activating the auxiliary input, which is on the left side of the amplifier. So I went and bought some flat black paint for this, which just looks so much better. I did things like I tried to have matching screws and tried to not have it too crooked, It came out pretty good. Here's the speaker which inspired this project, and it fits really well. Like I consciously made sure that the rubber feet were not going to make it wobble or be like half on these metal tabs and half off. I had those lined up right. And this is a 12-inch record player speaker, which is a full range, which is exactly what you want if you're running an amp modeler. So yeah, this amp came out really good. I'm looking forward to playing it live. Basically, like I said, I'm coming out of the amp modeler right and left. The main outputs go directly to the mixing board, to the PA speakers. So then I will have this amplifier with sitting on its top of its 12, just like we saw in the picture. This will be right up next to me, kind of pointing at me. So I can tweak, I can reach over with my left hand and adjust, and I can have the guitar nice and loud, but it won't be on the master mix. The master mix is going to be what's recording on the PA. So that's why I use that. And the way that it's wired is on my multi-effector, there's 2 1/4-inch outputs, and those would go to the mains, to the mixer. And then there's a headphone port, and that's the 3.5-inch cable, the aux cable. And I bought some heavy-duty aux cables that are 15 feet long. So those will run with a 90 on one end. It'll plug right into the multi, go around underneath. I have like yoga mats that I throw down because we're playing outdoors. So I run the cables underneath that stuff, and then coming up on top of the, I'll set the 12-inch cabinet on top of the subwoofer, and then set this on top of the 12. So that's how it works. I'm not saying that these little amps, these powered speakers that I'm running with my, in conjunction with the amp modeler, is better than a tube amp. There is no better. I never would have been able to do, like, if you look at my channel, we've been doing this for years, playing outside. We've had so much fun doing this, and I've created so much music, like a lot. We had 180 original pieces with the family band. Now, I don't know, do we have 70 songs, or is it 100 with the duo that I've written since the family band imploded, when the kids grew up and moved out? So none of that ever would have happened if I just had tube amps. And, you know, the only way I could get distortion is to crank up my JTM 45. The cops would come. So out of necessity, I started playing with Class D amp boards, and I got it to the point where now, like, I've got so many of these amps and different options. I can pair them with all different speaker cabinets. I got an all-in-one, which was a crate with a 10-inch speaker. It's the same amp. It's the same thing, but it's got a buffer, and there's a switchable, a bypassable crossover, so you can run a bullet tweeter if you want, if you're running a modeler. I found this amp is so bright on its own. This circuit is bright, which I like a bright amp, and that's really what you need for an amp modeler, is you need a lot of high-end information. So that 10 that was in the crate practice amp, it sounds phenomenal with the modeler, and that has a battery tray in the base of it. So I could have this on one side and run that crate on the other, and we wouldn't need the PA. And again, it's all about having options for me. I've got all different types of speakers here. I got Gauss, like real heavy duty aluminum dust cap. I got Fender speakers. I got Roland JC120 speakers. So the sky is kind of the limit for me, but what I really like is this amplifier design paired with my new XMG30, which is, it's a really good sounding amp modeler that has, you can load your own custom impulse responses, which really helps to fine tune it. Like, there's EQ for the output mode on that, and I use all that stuff, you know? Like, when we play indoors with headphones, it's a little bit brighter. But when I want to go through the PA, I have to reduce that treble, and that's how I do it. There's a master output EQ, and then there's EQs you can run on the signal, and then there's an EQ on the amp. So there's enough tone shaping that I can get at it really wherever I want to. And like this, the way that this pairs with that full range speaker, this EQ is perfect. It's perfect for it. And it's very much right in the range of guitar, and it's not anything extreme. There's no like BS with it. It's just enough of the bass. It never gets flubby. And with the mid-range, same thing. And with the high end, you got this bright switch, which totally changes the whole sound of the circuit. The bright is really a huge difference. So you kind of do have to know how to tweak this. And it's almost per patch too. But I think ultimately, and it's not a big deal. If this is sitting right next to me and we're not really playing for a crowd, I can tweak, and I do. So it's not amping the room, you know what I mean? Like if I want that, I've got so many amps here, and I got that JTM 45. Like that thing you plug just a booster and a reverb. You get like a DOD 250 or a clean boost or a governor, Marshall governor pedal, and then just like a nice reverb. And that's all you need on that amp. This is all you need. Man, does that sound phenomenal with a Strat. On like 2 or 4, holy cow, is that a good sounding amp. But I haven't really played that amp with humbuckers. I'm gonna have to play around with it more. This thing here, what I'm doing with the amp modeler, it's totally different, and it's much more like a mastered album, and it's much harder to get a really good sound out of it. But I pretty much got it figured out, and I I do the programming at home, and I get the volume levels all matched out. So when we go live, there isn't a real lot of so much tweaking to do. It is always different when you're playing with headphones at home and then when you go to speakers live. Typically, if I go on the master EQ and cut a lot of the high end, that will solve that. But it's still, the headphones compensate for a lot. So, if you guys got any questions or anything, let me know. Thank you for joining me on this one. Like, again, I'm not saying, oh, I figured something out, but I did. The tpa3116D2, out of everything I tried running on it, what's made me the happiest is the runoff groove tone bender and any amp modeler. But that tone bender, it's bright, and I like that. Like you see, I'm using a Rangemaster, so I may find when we get out there, I can't turn the bright switch on and turn the treble all the way up. I may have to, do a little bit more tweaking with this. And there I may end up changing that speaker out. Like I have a guitar speaker in another case. So what we can do is just try the amp on different speakers and see. And if I like something, if something is mating better with it, like I've got some, this guy bought a Fender Princeton, and like a tube Princeton, and he took the speaker out of it and bought a really expensive speaker and put it in the Princeton, and then sold me the Fender stock speaker for $15. And that speaker, I don't think it's even been broken in fully yet. You know, I've used that cabinet like probably three remotes. So anyway, you guys, like I said, I'm not uh, here to say that what I came up with here would be good for anybody except for me. Like this suits my needs that I play remote is why I'm using a Class D. And I'm using the Class D, so the tone vendor made it good with that. So this all comes down to like this battery powered remote thing and me wanting to do it myself rather than purchasing stuff. So I'm not here to say this is the way or I have better tone than you. You need to build one of these so you can find out what real guitar is all about. That's not it at all. Okay. But as far as building these things, I've been doing it since 2010. I've been doing it a lot. I do usually about 3 of them a year, sometimes more. I've done so many of them that I'm about done. I really don't want to do it anymore. And I think like as far as everything I built, I mean, I've got some other stuff that's much more complicated. The only one that really, I mean, I would have to be I got one it's a Marshall Super Lead preamp where instead of the tubes, I use J-FETs. That's a really good sounding. That may actually beat this, but that's a whole different thing. It's not, it wouldn't work with the amp modeler. This is a powered speaker and this works with the amp modeler. The other thing is creating a different type of distortion. It's not always going to sound quite right depending on what I got going on in the multi-vector. And I don't want that. I need more like just a monitor. You know what I mean? And this is deceptive. I get it because it looks like a tube head, but it's not. This is a powered speaker with a nice little EQ one, and it's light. Actually the wood that I used is lightweight, and I only use 2 3/4-inch pieces. The side pieces are like half, and the back is like a quarter, and then the front is the aluminum, the side. So I don't think that I am going to, like, I have a label maker with white tape. I could print like label everything, but I think I can figure it out, and I think I like it better having it not labeled. So what do you think of my amp? Let me know. Thanks for joining me on this one, you guys. I'll talk to you soon. I suppose we will be doing remote, and I could show you here Teen Beat, Nameless, and Rocking Chair. We did those last year. Heat the Man and Toothache are 2 old songs that you guys I never got videos of, so you've never heard them. Your Blues is new. I have C and Ascending Nice is old. I'm probably going to get rid of this one. Old 57, we have a video of that, and it's an excellent song, so we're bringing it back. Coconut Cream is new. I'm excited about that. Mezzoforte is new. Almost sounds like Frank Zappa. I am really excited about Mezzoforte because I can solo all over it and never make a clunker. Willowbrook is that one you guys probably have heard. It's a really beautiful slow song. 2 Time, we might get rid of that. 75 is this lead piece that I'm doing. It's got a cleaner lead. I'm in a high gain lead. I really like that backing track. It's a more challenging, it's a little different, and we're going to do it again, even though there's a video of it. But Old Long Song is another original. I'm really excited about that. Just I wrote this thing, and part of it, I was like, that sounds similar to Auld Lang Syne or whatever. But this year blues is spectacularly cool. What's going on with that? So far, that's what we've got. And I want to clear out at least 2 of those and write 2 more new pieces of music. So we are going to have new stuff for the season. We'll just have to stay tuned and see what I upload. I'm excited about some of this new songs, though. I really am. That all of the new stuff is cool. It's always challenging, and we have to go through mind-numbing rehearsals and trying to adjust, get the multi-effectors just right, and also the backing tracks. So it's a real lot of work, but the new powered mixer records the inputs of the tracks. So I can mix in post now. Really cool. Anyway, you guys, thank you for joining me on this one. Again, I'm not saying that I'm the tone king, I'm the tone chief, I'm the tone nut. I've cracked the secrets. I'm on the top of the mountain. I'm a guru. Not saying that, but I have built a lot of these Class D amp boards into speaker boxes. And I have tried pairing them with a lot of different solutions as far as a preamp or a front end goes. And what I've come to realize is for what I'm doing using an amp modeler, I haven't been able to find anything that beats the Tone Vendor. That's what I'm saying. I didn't design it. I didn't do the Vero layout. I'm merely a guy that thought to, wouldn't you think that? What other circuit, are you going to find on the internet? Because what I'm trying to do is, it's a powered speaker, and I really don't want to run crossovers and tweeters if I have to. If I can just get away with doing it all with a bright full range 12-inch speaker and then having a bright voiced amp. Because that's the thing about Amp Modeler, you're supposed to have that high-end information for it to really work right. And I'm goosing it just everywhere in the effects loop. Here's a treble booster. So it's like, treble, 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 treble. It's going to be bright. So that's what works for me. And tone is subjective. On the other end of the table, can you blame me for being proud of this? Is it okay for me to say that this is a battery amp? It is. Can I say that? Or no? Is that misleading? It's a powered speaker. Okay, it's a powered speaker. It's got a gainy preamp with a 3-band EQ and a bright switch. How do you like that? Anyway, I'm Peter Two-Finger. I'm really proud of this work here, and I want to say an extra special huge thanks to Gonti. Did you look on Facebook and read the comment that I put on the picture of the amp?
No, I saw some pictures, but I didn't see all the pictures, so I probably didn't.
So you guys, thank you again for joining me in this one. I'm sorry it got so long. Hug your pets and peace. We'll see you next time. And please come back and see some of this music I'm talking about. If you haven't seen any of our remote stuff, go to the search bar, type in remote. Music will come up. You can check it out. Check out Old 57. It's not too hard to type that. 3 words, 2 numbers. Give it a shot. We'll see you next time, guys. Hug your pets. Peace.